Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. When Church Militant broke the news over the weekend that the Vatican had ordered an investigation of Bishop Joseph Strickland of Tyler, Texas, the Catholic social media world exploded, as it should have. What other response should there be? The Texas bishop has piled up scorn and private disdain for many of his brother bishops for simply declaring the truth of Catholic teaching. Now that private disdain has bubbled over into the realm of public disdain, as he is now being gone after because of his orthodoxy and willingness to announce it. He has deservedly earned the nickname America's Bishop for his simple manner of clear, direct speaking. And of course, the hierarchy, as it is currently and temporarily, we might add, composed, can never tolerate clarity. They wrap themselves in the mantle of charity publicly, while privately, many of these men are the most uncharitable, vindictive, nasty human beings you could ever encounter. They are political-minded animals who seek not the good of souls and the thriving of Holy Mother Church, but their continued leeching off the institution, whose beauty they have traded away for enormous sums of government largesse. The U.S. bishops are drowning in hundreds of millions of dollars every year handed to them by their government counterparts under the guise, once again, of charity, as in funding so-called social justice programs, translation, promoting Democratic Party agenda items. In reality, those programs and the enormous funding they receive, more than Planned Parenthood, are the cover for keeping the machinery of Catholic Inc. well-oiled. And in that environment, two things can never be allowed to happen. One, orthodoxy be preached, and two, being a political conservative. Strickland ticks both those boxes, so little wonder he has drawn the eye of Sauron. A vocal, daring Catholic political conservative who also has a mitre? That simply cannot be allowed. Too much at risk for Catholic Inc. One of the great ironies in all of this is the two-man team sent from the Vatican to investigate Bishop Strickland. And for the record, let's be very clear, it is an investigation, despite the blatantly hypocritical pretense that it is an apostolic visitation. Please. If you count Judas as an apostle, then I suppose. The lead in the two-man team was retired Bishop Gerald Kikanis, a man who we called notorious in our initial article over the weekend, which broke the story. We didn't get into all of it there, but we will now. Kikanis was rector of Mundelein Seminary in Chicago from 1984 to 1995, much of that time under the even more notorious Cardinal Joseph Bernardine. During his time as rector, Kikanis was made aware, now pay attention to this, he was made aware from multiple seminarians repeatedly that another seminarian by the name of Daniel McCormick was sexually harassing them, drinking with them frequently, and after getting them drunk, trying to sexually assault them. While he was in seminary and stationed in Mexico for a summer job, he sexually abused two boys. It was later revealed in criminal court proceedings that two seminarians had reported those assaults to Kikanis, who did nothing about them, just as he had done nothing when it came to the various and frequent complaints by Mundelein seminarians about McCormick trying stuff in the showers, as well as when they were drinking. Kikanis gave the green light to McCormick's ordination in 1994, and shortly after that, McCormick became one of the most notorious priest sex abusers in the country, racking up 23 formal complaints. Who knows how many did not come forward, serving prison time for molesting 5 boys and costing the Archdiocese $12 million in settlements in civil proceedings. McCormick was eventually convicted as well as defrocked and is now being sued civilly by many of his victims. Kikanis knew all of this ahead of time and still gave his blessing to McCormick being ordained. When the info came out about the McCormick case, once the criminal case was underway, and the church can't cover up a criminal case, he gave an interview to a local Chicago newspaper, Kikanis did, who asked him point blank about how he could possibly greenlight McCormick's ordination with all the seminarians coming to him telling him about McCormick. Cacanus' answer, wait for it, I was more concerned with his drinking. We kid you not. He was more concerned with his drinking. This is the man who Rome sent to be the lead investigator to lower the boom, politely of course, we're sure, on Bishop Strickland. And for the record, Cacanus, who had been the vice president of the USCCB, that honorable group of dishonorable men, came within a handful of votes of actually becoming president after all of this was revealed. It was only a last-minute PR blitz by faithful Catholics back in 2009 that derailed his victory. That's how Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York became president of the USCCB. He was the compromise candidate, kind of the emergency go-to. We can't possibly put a child sex abuse cover-up dude in the presidency seat, who, after Dolan won, went on to tell assembled media, well, there's no crisis in the church. His elevation to the presidency of the USCCB was because of the crisis in the church. Scheming, lying politicians who have figured out how to get money from D.C. while at the same time sacrificing the church. That's what we have, nothing less. And the sooner that reality gets embraced, the sooner we all can do something. When Church Militant repeatedly says the church is in a dumpster fire right now, we know what we're talking about. But likewise, we need to expand here beyond the Strickland news for a bit more understanding. There's much more behind the scenes here than is being admitted or even reported. What many people tell us here at Church Militant, emails and phone calls and personal visits and all of that, is that we have the ability to connect the dots for them, to point out the intersection and the overlap of so many areas. Call it the Venn diagram of the church's corruption. A large part of the corruption happens because of the bishop's unofficial involvement in politics. They continually push for the agenda of the Democratic Party, point by point, but carefully sidestep the prickly situation of being actually officially political. Catholic Inc. can't jeopardize that precious 501c3 nonprofit tax status, you know. The truth is, you will never meet a more political group in your life than these men. It is this that Strickland has run afoul of. But of course, Strickland is still alive, unlike Venerable Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen, who in death has run into the exact same buzzsaw of the U.S. bishops, jamming up his canonization for pretty much the same reasons: being a political, conservative, patriot-minded citizen and preaching solid Catholic orthodoxy. These leaders, they don't care. They'll come after you, dead or alive. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.